Welcome to Not Another White Box, the channel that brings you all that's cool, quirky and unusual in the caravan world. My name is Cameron and today we're outside one of the absolute Not Another White Box staples, which is the Swift Basecamp 2. Now, if you watched any of my videos before, you'll know this is one of my absolute favourite vans built in Britain these days. And there's so many people who follow this channel who have one. But at the October 2023 NEC Caravan and Motorhome show, there's a new model on the block. It's not a bigger one, it's not a shorter one. It's exactly the same caravan, but it's got a different name. It's called the Swift Basecamp Evo, and it's a completely new concept from Swift. And looks like a base camp, feels like a base camp, but this right here is the true future of caravanning. The very first thing that drew me in when I saw this model, because it wasn't announced before the show, it just sort of appeared. And I thought, hang on, that's not what colour a Swift Basecamp 2 should be. But these exterior GRP bits are actually made out of recycled plastics, and they've deliberately changed the colour, I think to entice us in, to wonder what else there is to see here. And once you've been drawn in by the different colours, you'll notice that on the roof, it's filled with flexible solar panels, which for years I've been saying, why don't they just put tons of solar on the roof of a caravan? And I know there's more to it than that. I know that just adding more solar doesn't necessarily give you more power, but it's a start, and I'm quite impressed to see this. We'll even notice here, as it's presented at the show, the front lockers left open. There's this strange power system where you would normally find a gas bottle. And finally, the thing that really caught my eye was there's a little flap here for collecting rainwater to use for the toilet flush. I don't even know where to start with this. It's completely new. So I think we should probably find someone who does know what they're talking about to show us around the Basecamp Evo. So I'm here with Tom from Swift, and you are the sustainability manager.
I am indeed, yeah.
And I understand that this new concept is your baby.
It is.
So would you like to tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So this is the Basecamp Evo. It's based on the Basecamp 2 body shell. However, we've taken a few different things and spun it on its head. So the main thing being that we've taken the gas out of it. We've gone all electric. We've put 12 kilowatt hour batteries in there. So there's two of those sixes under there, 100 kilos of battery. We've got almost 1,000 watts of solar on there now, 720 watts on the roof, 200 further on the side as well. And then on top of the routing side of things, we've got recycled materials in our exterior plastics. We've got it in our bedding, so actually inside of the body shell as well. Rather than it being expanded polystyrene as per our usual products, we've gone for an eco-friendly version, and it's filled with recycled plastic bottles.
Oh wow, so that's quite unusual then in the industry. That's quite innovative.
Yeah.
Is that something you've had to sort of develop?
It's something that we used to use before on our floors because they're a much higher density. However, there's a little bit more cost associated with that. So we used that for a couple of years, and then we moved back to a more traditional, we call it styrofoam, but it's called Ravertherm.
Right.
It's traditional style blown foam in the floor. Right. Whereas this has gone to using, so there's 1,750 plastic bottles in the body shell alone on this van.
Wow.
Then in the cushions inside as well, we've also got plastic bottle fibres in there instead of foams. So we've got even more in there. Recycled fabrics throughout inside. There's a bamboo mirror in there instead of using tempered glass. We've got a recycled perspex mirror in there. The flooring, we've gone for linoleum flooring, so made out of natural materials rather than PVC vinyl.
Yeah.
Another nice little feature is we've got the rainwater collection system on this.
I saw that. That's genius, isn't it?
Yeah, so this was a lovely little thing that I came up with. So we just reroute the water management system to actually collect the water into a 10-litre tank. There's a little dedicated pump and some filters in there to stop you from getting any leaves and bits in there. As soon as you press the button on the flush on the toilet, it then feeds that from the rainwater. So you're not having to use fresh water for that, and you're not having to top up your tank all the time. We've got no shortage of rain in this country, have we?
I was going to say, after this summer, the tank could be overflowing. But
yeah, we've got an overflow in there just in case.
Wow. And so you mentioned as well, obviously, the sustainability is the main focus. But you've also done something which is quite important in the industry at the minute, is to move away from gas.
Yes.
How have you managed to do that?
So the way that we've managed to do that is by partnering with Mastervolt for their systems. They're proven in the marine industry and domestic settings. Mm-hmm. So we've got 2 6 kilowatt hour batteries in there with a 3 kilowatt inverter. That will give you enough battery and charge to go away for a weekend in summer.
Yeah.
Because you've got that solar gain as well.
Yes.
So in a winter, you're going to struggle to off-grid because you're going to need heating and you're going to struggle with solar gain. However, for a summer, you're perfect for going off-gridding for a weekend. Charge your battery up on a Friday, go off for the weekend. You've got sun. You're bringing it in and you can sustain yourself for a weekend then is the idea.
Presumably in the winter you could connect to mains electric anyway.
Fully plug in as well. Yeah, so it was just for summer you could off-grid. For winter we recommend that you would plug in because you need that heat demand. You know, the heating is the most demanding thing on the system. Yeah. So yeah, if you want it to keep nice and warm, you're definitely going to want to be plugged in.
So is it a new heating system then to the market, or is it an existing one that you've had to adapt?
It's an adapted existing system, so it's exactly the same as what's already in our base camps. It's a whale system for space heating and water heating. However, it's had the gas side of things removed. Right. So we've saved a little bit of weight there because obviously we've taken the gas out of the vehicle anyway, but they are essentially the same components as what you'd find in a regular base camp, but smaller casings, only electric.
As you've led me on to something there, so you might not have the exact figure to mind, but with all the changes you've made, is there a weight difference to it? Because obviously you've added a lot of technology in,
yes,
but you've saved a little bit. How's that affected the weight of the van?
It ends up slightly more. Yeah. So I believe the Basecamp 2 is around 940.
Yeah.
So realistically,
that's unladen.
Yes. Yeah. So realistically, on this one, we're going to be looking at more around the 1,000 mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, for all the technology you've had to add, you've done very well to not. I was expecting a bigger figure than that based on my own builds in the past with the vintage stuff.
Yeah.
It's so easy when you start adding electrics, the weight just goes straight away.
Yes. Yeah. We've managed to counteract it by doing different things, such as removing the plywood from the floor on the inside, which has saved us enough weight. We've also reduced the thicknesses of the GRP skins, which has saved us 11 kilos. So we've done weight saving exercises in order to try and minimise that weight increase for the battery system.
Excellent. And it still looks cool because it's a base camp, of course. It's really aerodynamics. That's obviously going to help people who tow with EVs preserve their range, etc. Yeah. Which I love this because obviously my main thing is caravan design, and no one seems to be thinking about the impact of not just the caravan on the environment with the manufacturing side, that kind of thing, but towing it as well. Yeah. And we've long championed the Basecamp for its extreme aerodynamics. And we know so many people who tow one with an EV for that reason. Yeah. So really, it was the perfect vehicle for doing this too, wasn't it?
That's exactly what we were thinking, yeah. It's the quirky, small vehicle that we wanted to start this, bigger plan with. It seems like all companies throughout the industry and throughout multiple industries, motor vehicle industry, we're all having to go down this route to look at more sustainable measures. So this seemed like the most logical vehicle to be able to start with on that.
Yeah, no, I'm really impressed because Swift seems to be at the forefront with this, and it was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting to see it here. Yeah. Was it deliberately kept under wraps?
It was, yeah. So we wanted to sneak it in here and then show everyone. Yeah.
So is the plan at some point to put it into production, or is it a concept at the moment?
So with it being a concept vehicle at the show, we were just wanting to get people's feedback and make sure there's the customer appetite for it. I'm pretty happy with the feedback that we've been getting. So yeah, it's certainly something that we would, that we've been asked to bring into production. So
excellent. And you don't have to give me an answer if you don't know, but do you know roughly what the cost might be if it made it into production?
At the moment, we're still working out the figures. Yeah. It's going to be an on cost compared to the Basecamp 2. Yeah. Because you're essentially buying that same Basecamp and then adding your electrical system into that. It's the electrical system and the cost associated with that that's still being ironed out really at the moment.
And this is the thing, when we've just done the judging on the Caravan and Motorhome Club Design Awards, the feedback from the customer was that they were actually happy to pay for better technology.
Yeah.
And the number one feedback the club kept getting was that they were frustrated at the lack of progress in the caravan industry when their cars are changing so quickly. It's nice to see Swift sort of leading the charge with that, if you're pardon the pun.
Yeah, that's exactly what
that was terrible, sorry.
No, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Start promoting sustainability on a wider scale and pushing forward what we can do as a company as well. Yep. Making innovative products is what we do, and we wanted to be the first out there to be able to show what we're capable of really in terms of eco-friendly features and all electric caravans.
Excellent. So yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant, and wish you the best of luck with it.
No, thanks very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Inside the new Basecamp Evo, again, it looks like business as usual in here, but the closer you look, it's not quite all as it seems. Immediately, the first thing I'm drawn to is the fact that the gas obviously has gone. So we've got an induction cooker. There's also an oven below, our microwave oven even, which obviously works off electric only. Elsewhere, it seems pretty conventional, except the fridge is a special Dometic unit that runs off electric only. There's no gas option on it. And you'll notice that they've even installed an air fryer, which air fryers are kind of a bit of a topical thing for someone my age, because one minute you get excited by going on a night out, next minute you're excited by air fryers, and it's a true coming of age experience. So it's interesting to see one inside the van. Because again, that's what a lot of people are using now in their caravans, and in a Basecamp kitchen there's tons of room to put one on top. But before I move on from the kitchen, if you just look up, you'll notice there is a Dometic aircon unit on the roof, which again runs from the power system built in, which is a really premium level feature to find on something like the Basecamp. So I'm not too sure how that's going to affect the price in the end, but like we've just said, we don't actually know until Swift decides to put this model into production. One of the things I've always loved about the Basecamp, ever since it was launched, is they always had these overhead lockers, which are actually fabric bags that just unzip like this. And you can access them quite easily and whatever's inside them, and then zip them up like a normal cupboard. But they're smarter than that. They unhook at the top, and you can just take them out with you and take them home. And initially I thought, I want a proper cupboard, I don't want this. But then when I thought about it, how most of us use a caravan, we will put things in bags anyway and then decant them into cupboards. So why not just cut out the middleman and take the bags home and then hang them up inside the caravan, so everything's ready to use for your trip away. And it's this sort of clever design that turns conventionality on its head that I've always loved about the Basecamp range. And of course, in the Basecamp Evo, they're sticking with this. It's a well-established staple of the Basecamp range, except we've now got this lovely shade of blue. At the front end of the Basecamp, and it's business as usual here, you've got this lovely big lounge space that converts into a double bed. And Tom's just told us, of course, that the filling of the cushions is recycled plastic bottles. And you can't really tell. If I'm being mega honest and critical, they're not quite as comfortable as the bog standard foam ones, but they are perfectly serviceable. And if you're someone who's buying a Basecamp because you're making an evolution from camping, these are a lot plusher than a camp bed or a camping mat that you might be used to. So I actually kind of applaud that decision. I think if it went into production, they might have to beef up the thickness of them slightly just to improve the comfort a little bit. But the fabrics feel lovely. They actually feel nicer than the standard Basecamp fabrics, and they're all recycled, ecologically sourced materials, which is just, I can't tell you how pleased I am to see someone in the caravan industry doing this, because my chagrin with the industry for so long has been the amount of single-use plastics and unsustainable sources for a lot of the materials that are used. So I think it's really important that Swift are trying this concept, and if they could bring it to market at a reasonable price, it would be a really, really, really good thing for the industry. Tom's mentioned about the technology that's shoehorned into this Basecamp, and to be fair, the standard Basecamp has quite a lot as it is. It has the famous Swift command system, which of course this prototype model has the most up-to-date recent version of it. And we've got the whale heating system that has crept in with these new controls in the last 18 months or so. But like we said, it's electric only, there's no gas option, which for many caravanners is fine. Personally, I would like to be able to use gas still, but after all the trouble that we've had being able to get hold of Cala gas in the last few years, I completely understand why this concept is so important. And I'm kind of all for it, to be honest. We have that ability to run it off grid in the summer, and in the winter months where you probably go an electric hookup anyway. Everything is electric and designed to work at its full potential on electricity, which if you've not had a Caravan before, you'll know that your electric heating always works better on gas. It's always more efficient, gets hotter quicker. So Swift have had to do a bit of legwork there to improve these systems and make them work more efficiently. And I'm really pleased to see that. We've obviously got the standard Basecamp wardrobe just next to it. We've got this lovely curved edged bamboo mirror. Again, why aren't we fitting these in all Caravans? Not only are they lighter than a standard mirror, less susceptible to delamination with changing weather and particularly the dampness of winter than a normal mirror, they should be fitted in all Caravans. It's brilliant, and I love the curved edge, just gives it that little contemporary look to it, which I really want to see in Caravans going forward. Finally, we get to the back where we've got the washroom, and again, this is a pretty standard Basecamp 2 washroom, except of course we've got that rainwater flush on the toilet, and the water is heated from the inverter using the solar on the roof to charge it. It's still a lovely washroom. We've got the heater output in here, got a nice big shower tray. We've got a nice ecologically sourced shower curtain, which is fantastic to see something that's different to those horrible plastic ones that just cling to you as soon as they get wet. So I've loved seeing that. We've obviously got the grey slate, which again is standard on the new Basecamps as of 2023. And it just looks contemporary, it looks stylish, it looks modern. So overall, what do I think to the new Basecamp Evo concept? Obviously, I absolutely love it. I love that there has now been thought made about the sustainability of the manufacturing process and where they're going to source all the fittings and fixtures from. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's ready to go to market exactly as it is. I'm not saying there's not hurdles to overcome. But what I really applaud Swift for here is attempting to improve and do something better. And I always hate it when we go to caravan shows and caravanners just look at something and go, oh, I'm not buying into that, and oh, I don't get that at all. We need to be more open-minded, we need to be more receptive, and let's have that conversation with manufacturers about where caravan design needs to go. Let's bridge that gap between the two and build a more sustainable industry going forward, because there's so many new people to caravanning since the staycation boom and since the lockdowns, who have their own ideas about where caravanning needs to go. And we're moving away from floral upholstery and fitted carpets and all the things that have made caravans boring white boxes for the last 30 years. We're starting to get more exciting, contemporary, modern and fresh. And that is exactly what the Swift Basecamp Evo is delivering. Thank you very much for joining me on this tour today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do subscribe to the channel and check out Not Another White Box on all forms of social media, links to which are in the description below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching.